Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host, the Ohio Patriot, or AR. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about another YouTuber's recent panel, which is AK Nation News. I've talked about him a time or two on this channel before. I was part of a couple of his panels in the past. Nothing to really write home about, honestly. I'm not even going to lie about it, dude. There's a reason why I stopped participating, and that I was on there a couple of them. Legitimately, I was like two of them, I think is what it was. And the second one, it was most of his panelists basically. I don't want to say ran me off, but like it got to a level of ignorance that I just didn't put up with. Is what it really was, honestly, dude. And yeah, it's a bunch of stupid shit, honestly. And I would honestly equate that at least a couple of the guys that he has on there as regulars are 100% anti-white racist at this point. Especially the one motherfucker who, the first time I was ever on that guy's panel, asked me, first question out of his mouth was, "What race are you?" And I'm just like, again, what the fuck does that even matter, dude? So, unless you're a fucking racist, bigoted piece of shit, honestly, is what it is, which makes sense at that point then. But, yeah, it is what it is, man. But, anyway, so obviously they were talking last night about the whole, Club Q shooting and everything going on there, and potentially the kid and stuff like that. And my thing was, and this is something I thought was very, very ignorant in general, which is they were dismissing the quote unquote conspiracy theories, which aren't even really theories anymore, dude. It's just late reality, like I've said many times on this channel. And if you actually, start looking into shit that's not fucking mainstream media, your mind will wake up to that shit real quick, is what it is, dude. And how fucked up our government actually is what it is. And the thing is, I mean, you look at it, man, like, seriously, we have less than 2 weeks before Congress is pretty much gone, before the U.S. Senate changes and stuff like that. Isn't it very convenient that in this time you have had, all of a sudden another massacre that they could politicize, and it was against a bunch of gay people and stuff like that, just like Pulse in 2016 was. And just like Pulse in 2016, I believe truthfully, the kid that was behind this attack was 100% closeted, dude. Whether it be closeted gay, bisexual, transgender, whatever the fuck it is, dude. I don't care at this point, honestly. Could be anything, honestly, dude. Not to mention he was fucked in the head anyway, dude. And that's the thing. And we've talked about this many times, honestly, and that's what people fail to bring up is what it was, dude, is that had this motherfucker been stopped in his tracks, over a year ago at this point, we wouldn't even be having this discussion right now. We would be going on about our day, as if everything's normal and stuff like that, which it should be in most cases. Unfortunately, it's not anymore because a bunch of nutcases are allowed to run fucking wild because our government wants them to run fucking wild because our government sucks ass is what it is, dude. And that's the big problem right now. When you have our fucking government trying to fuck with our lives constantly, and hell, anybody that's lived through 2020 at this point should realize that, dude. Like, if you're not a fucking moron, if you're not an actual fucking dimwit in this country, dude, you should be able to wake up and smell the fucking coffee right now, dude, and see that, like, yeah, our government is not your friend. It has not been for decades, dude, if it was ever for that matter. And the thing is, it's like, again, going back to what I said a minute ago with, don't trust mainstream media, man, period. They are a bunch of lying pricks. They have been forever, pretty much. And they're going to lie straight to your fucking face about what's really going on, dude. Like, I don't care if it's fucking Fox News and Tucker Carlson or everybody else for that matter, dude. Now, granted, Tucker is, he's his own thing, honestly, at this point, I think. And I could easily see him being almost, like, I don't know. It's hard to say with Tucker Carlson. I would say he's almost like a mix between the controlled opposition and, like, somewhat of a free thinker, I guess is what how I put it, basically. Because, there's obviously stuff the guy can't say, and there's obviously other stuff that he's gone on, various, rants about and shit like that. Like, I know for a fact, because one of the guys brought up in that panel was like, Oh yeah, he was talking about like some stuff with like the grooming and shit like that. And that's the one thing I think is interesting too, by the way, is that you now have Libs of TikTok that has basically made a name for itself, and the mainstream media is like pushing hard when it comes to that, dude. And you have a bunch of dumbasses. Like there was this one person, I forget what their actual name was on Twitter there, but their like quote unquote thing was like demon mode or something like that. And it's like this fucking nutcase is trying to equate Libs of TikTok, who was outing the fact that you have a bunch of sick, disgusting, depraved adults who are trying to take children and put them into drag shows and shit like that and like teach them like drag lifestyle and stuff like that, dude. That happened to be going on in Colorado. That somehow that in of itself equates over to what happened there with that kid going on the fucking massacre. And it's like, no, one thing does not correlate to another thing, dude, is what it is. Ever. If anything, if you want to talk about legitimately, dude, like let's talk about the continuation of fucking, all this push, all this, Marxist agenda bullshit is what it is, dude. In our school systems, at our kids every fucking day is what it is, bro. And like I said, I remember back in my day, late 90s, early 2000s and stuff like that when I was in my teens. In my generation, it was cool to be gay, man. The big difference between that and what it seems like now, where it's like fashionable to be transgender and stuff like that, is that, you know, cool to be gay is not permanently mutilating your fucking self, and on top of that, then completely sterilizing your entire life forever is what it is, dude. To where you can never have kids ever in the future. And I think that's what far too few people are actually bringing up the fact, dude. Like, that's the case right now. When you look into all this stuff, like every single one of these kids that has gone down that road right now, dude, of all the hormone blockers and everything else like that, dude, they are sterilized youth at this point, dude. You're gonna like, and that's the thing. You look at Chuck Schumer and stuff like that, man, who recently came out and was all like, and this is why, because of the birth rates in the U.S., why we need to implement people from outside of the U.S. and stuff like that. It's like, go fuck yourself, you old pedofuck. Like, seriously. And I'm calling Schumer out at this point, dude. Like, that guy's 100% a child molester and needs to be fucking investigated like a motherfucker for that, dude. Like, there is no way he ain't raping kids, dude. And hasn't been for decades at this point. Same thing with Biden's bitch ass. Like, we already know that for a fact, honestly. But, like, Schumer's another one of these ones that, like, I think people kind of just, like, overlook it is what it is, bro. And honestly, like, dude, if it came out, like, tomorrow that Chuck Schumer was actually a fucking demon, and, like, you just see, like, whoever, like, Lucifer's, like, right-hand man was or whatever at that point, or right-hand woman is what it was, if they just, like, sort of shed the Schumer suit, and then were just, like, this crazy, like, red or, like, yellow demon or something like that, dude, like, I would not be surprised by it at all. Because, truthfully, like, I'm just waiting for that day to come, honestly, at this point, man. Where it's just, like, this motherfucker goes, like, full demon mode is what it is. And, yeah, it's just fucked up, man. But, yeah. The entire point is, though, is that I think the problem that people don't understand is, there are a lot of things that are, like, right in front of your face in a lot of cases, man. And when you don't want to see them because you want to be willfully ignorant to them or whatever the case be, all it does is hurt everybody in the long run, because then it basically shows not only that individual's willful ignorance or those individuals' willful ignorance, it then correlates beyond that to others throughout the spectrum and stuff like that. And then what you end up having is a situation where people don't get it anymore, dude. They don't understand is what it is. And I think, unfortunately, what we've seen, with a lot of these people anymore is they want to sit there and, try to be midwits or try to be, intellectuals or whatever the case be in some cases. But most of them don't even bother to actually do research is what it is, man. Most of them don't even bother to go out there and actually do the research required to, discuss the topic at hand or whatever the case be. They're just like, oh, it's whatever in the news now, or whatever the case be. It's like, oh, it's just the day of the week or whatever. That kind of thing is what it is, bro. And it's like, nah, bro, like, you need to actually, like, look into some of this shit And the thing is, like, I appreciate the one guy that was on the panel last night for AK's panel who brought up the fact that obviously the kid in question here basically had a handler. He had like some dude who was like FBI or whatever the case be, and somebody brought up the fact of like, oh yeah, well it's probably because of the fact that he was, on the radar and shit like that from his bomb threat attack and stuff like that. But that could be more than that even though, dude. I mean, and that's the thing that we never it seems like me like nobody ever brings up about Tops either for that matter, dude. The Top supermarket attack in the last like year or so, dude. That kid had a fucking FBI handler, dude. Like, these people are MK Ultra mind control agents, dude, period. If you don't get that, like, you're fucking retarded is what it is, bro. Seriously, I'm gonna say that right now. If you cannot understand that that's what's going on in this country right now, dude, that our fucking government is activating people to create these fucking massacres, dude, specifically to attack the Second Amendment and try to destroy it like they did a decade ago with fucking Sandy Hook, I don't know what the fuck to tell you then, bro. Like, wake the fuck up, people, seriously. Wake the fuck up and smell the goddamn coffee at this point, because that's what's going on right now, honestly, dude. And I'm sick and tired of having to sit here and fucking, go around and sort of pins and needles and shit like that and fucking nimbly bimbly all shit like that or whatever the case be, dude. And it's like, no, it's fucking ridiculous, dude. Like, people need to wake the fuck up and realize what the fuck is actually going on in this country, dude. And it is not good, bro. It is not good at all. It never has been good. And it's getting worse and worse by the day because you're seeing the evil continue to take over is what it is right now, dude. You're seeing the pure evil in our country being allowed to maintain power in many, many cases. And I think, unfortunately, the way things are going right now, it's getting worse and worse, man. And that's another thing people need to wake up and realize, by the way. We are in a battle right now of good and evil, period, dude. Like, end of story. And pretty soon it's going to get to that point where it's going to be the breaking point. And people are going to have to wake the fuck up to something, dude. Because if they don't, they're going to be left in the fucking dust. And I think there's a lot of people that are finally waking up to is what it is, man. And thank God for that. Because if they didn't, my God, man. Like, I don't even know, man. It's going to get bad. It's going to get way worse before it ever gets better, I think, unfortunately. And I look at a lot of these people, that are sitting there and, sort of fucking off is what it is. And want to sit there and try to, espouse some bullshit or whatever the case be, even though half of them don't even know what the fuck they're talking about is what it is. And then it's like, bro, when you finally realize like what the hell is actually really going on, and you haven't actually prepared at all in this time for what's happening and stuff like that, these are going to be the people that are going to be trying to knock on your door, dude, and take your shit when things go south. And I fear for that day, honestly, dude, because it's not going to work out well for them, And I think that's the problem with too many people in this country right now, dude. You have too many people who, they want to be part of the arc, if you will, but they don't want to actually take the time to make sure that they have stuff for the arc, is what it is. So, yeah, it's just very fucking. It really is like just very ignorant shit, honestly, that I'm seeing right now, dude, with a lot of these people. And, the one thing I will say, though, is that it is nice to see, honestly, like there are people out there who are just sick and tired of the fucking bullshit going on. And they have made, various groups that have now been unfortunately censored in most cases, like the whole, gays against groomers and stuff like that kind of thing and stuff like that. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of that has to do with the fact that our government sucks ass is what it is, dude. And again, it goes back to the fact that a lot of those motherfuckers are actual kid rapists is what it is, dude. They're actually raping children is what it is. And so, of course, they're going to want that shit censored because they know for a fact that it actually equates to their asses what it is in most cases, dude. And when you can finally realize, like, oh, this is what we're actually fighting against, yeah, shit gets real fucking crazy real fucking quick, man. And I think that's what a lot of people are finally waking up to right now, dude. Is that we are fighting against, like, some seriously disgusting entities And I'm not even gonna say human beings at this point, dude, because I don't think they really are in a lot of cases, dude. I think truthfully, and I've said it before on this channel many times, and I'll continue to say it right now. I think truthfully, we are seeing people who are either currently demons in suits and stuff like that that look like human beings, or it's a situation of it is people that are still human right now, but they have made Crossroads demon deals, supernatural style, and it's like the last couple of days of their fucking deal is what it is, dude, before they get drug off to hell and become a demon then. And it makes a lot of sense when you look into it from that perspective of stuff, because then you start to see, you know, the sort of cracks in the armor and shit like that. And you begin to see just like the craziness coming out of these people and stuff is what it is, dude. And you understand why people like Maxine Waters, you know, go on whole like tirades about like, oh, confront him at the gasoline station, all this other shit like that, or whatever the case be, or how she's even been in power for as long as she has been. And it's because of shit like that, honestly, dude. Because she is legitimately possessed, is what it is, bro. And I think it's the same with a lot of them, honestly, dude. It's these old fuckers, dude, that when they were, you know, younger and stuff like that, they made some kind of a deal. I don't know exactly when or where or how, but they made some kind of a deal. You know, they made some kind of a deal for power. They lusted for power. And it's why they will never leave power, because they know that once they do, in many cases, and that could honestly be the difference, honestly. It might not be a 10-year deal, it might not be a 20-year deal, whatever the case be. It might be a situation just enough to where it would be, okay, well, now they are, you know, X, Y, and Z, and it becomes a whole thing of, you know, once they would leave a position of power, that's when they're allowed to be, you know, taken off and, you know, drugged down to hell, if you will, or whatever the case be. And I think in a lot of cases, it's sad because you're seeing, you know, the fallout of what happened here in Colorado Springs there. Because you're seeing a kid who should have never been out of prison, honestly. Let's face it like it is, dude. This motherfucker should have never seen the light of day after last year. But because some Soros DA or some leftist ass judge who's bought and paid for, whatever the case be, or both for that matter, were involved in letting this motherfucker off and let him walk the streets again, you know, dropped all of his charges and stuff like that, he was able to go out there and commit this massacre, is what it is, dude. And then who do you have basically being pushed front and center in all this insanity? You have like the dumbest motherfuckers that they could find from that club that night, dude. And that's one thing I've noticed in the last few days, actually, during this whole thing, is there was one dude who, I forget what his name was offhand, but it was basically this black dude who claimed he was like having his birthday that night or whatever. And he legitimately sounds like a fucking moron, dude. The guy reminds me very much of that hide your wife, hide your kids, bro, from like a bunch of years back, is what it is, dude. Like, you know, that parody thing, except for the fact that in that case, that dude was just like hamming it up for the fucking, you know, cameras and stuff like that, where I think this dude in the club is being for real. And that's the sad part of it, man. And again, it just goes back to, you know, the media. The media pushes the stupid to the front, is what it is in most cases, dude. I mean, hell, look at David Hogg, for God's sakes. You know, a motherfucker who admits he wasn't even there that day at the fucking school there in Marjorie and Douglas High, but yet gets pushed front and center for the whole Parkland thing, is what it is, dude. Because they needed some fucking commie little bitch boy who was a wannabe fucking Hitler to push their bullshit anti-gun crap, dude. And then going back even to that, actually, and that's the reason why I bring that up, is this reason, actually. Because if you remember, back after that, they held the whole March for Our Lives fucking stupid ass event there. Which, by the way, for those that don't know about that, actually, I'm going to go into a little backstory about that one. So that was actually pre-planned, like 2 or 3 months before that, by, of all people, Planned Parenthood. It was Planned Parenthood that paid for it back in, like, I think it was either January or December of the previous year, to have that like event basically held. So it's like, yeah, you cannot tell me that Parkland was not a fucking false flag, dude, especially when you have, I believe it was 25 or 30 times. It might even be more than that now I'm thinking about it, but it was at least 25 if I'm not mistaken, where you had Secret Service slash federal agents show up to that school. And it's like, why the hell were the fucking feds here a bunch of times? Like, what the fuck are they trying to set up? And then you realize when you have like kids coming out of that school, like actual survivors, not like little bitch boys like David Hogg and stuff like that, dude, but actual survivors that got on the media immediately and were like, nah, bro, like I was hanging out with the guy that they're saying did this in a classroom while there's gunfire going on around this school from at least like one, if not two directions. And yeah, there's been a lot of talk since then, dude, about how you had anywhere from like 2 to 3 shooters in that school that day. And the big thing is a lot of the people that came out about that are now dead from like various like so-called suicides and stuff like that, dude. And again, it's like, yeah, that's some fucking shady shit that should be looked into, man, honestly. Because like obviously they're trying to shut people up somewhere in there. But anyway, the entire point is though, is that when you have people not looking, you know, deeper and scratching the surface and stuff like that, and then actually like, you know, realizing like, hey, why would they be doing this now? And it's like, oh, because they only have, you know, X amount of time. It's like their time is very short to get anything past is what it is, dude. And that's the entire point, dude. The entire fucking point of Colorado Springs of Club Q is to attack the Second Amendment, period. It's to continue to try to push for an assault weapons ban at this point in history. Even though Biden and company know the shit's unconstitutional, even though Biden himself is a fucking unconstitutional piece of shit who shouldn't even be in office right now because he's a cheating fucking douchebag. Same thing with Warnock and Ossoff, I've mentioned many, many times in this on this channel in the last like 6 months or so. Like, bro, anything that any of those three assholes sign off on is null and void on the spot right now, honestly, dude. Because none of them are holding power legitimately in this country. And the fact that we're still acting like they are is fucking ridiculous, dude. It pisses me off every fucking day that I wake up and the fucking, you know, the sheriffs out there, the fucking local beat cops out there, the fucking feds themselves haven't done their fucking job and arrested these douchebags for fucking theft of a goddamn presidency and everything else like that, dude. And 2 Senate seats for that matter, at least. And honestly, I would go as far as to say if they started doing actual audits into races and stuff like that, dude, I guarantee you a Pelosi seat would be null and void for the past 20-something years. Same thing with Maxine Waters. Same thing with a bunch of those people in California, like the Eric Sowells and shit like that, dude. There ain't no way that those motherfuckers are holding power legitimately at this point, man. When you got illegal aliens being able to vote in California for decades now and shit like that, like, yeah, there's a lot of fuckery going on, dude, for real. And like I said, it's a bunch of shit entirely, dude. The fact that we aren't having audits of every single election at this point is bullshit entirely, dude. And that's exactly the bunch of BS going on there in Arizona, where they're refusing to call Arizona now for Kari Lake, even though she clearly has fucking won it, like many times over. And Katie Hobbs is a cheating fucking cunt. Same thing with that fucker Mark Kelly. Like Blake Masters is a sack of shit for not fucking having some goddamn spinal cord and actually, you know, telling Mark Kelly to fuck off and being like, no, we're not going to let you steal this fucking seat back, asshole. Fuck you, you anti-gun fuckboy. And as I said before with Mark Kelly's bitch ass, dude, he should have been disqualified from the run to begin with because two reasons, actually. Reason number one, he's literally married to fucking Gabby Giffords, anti-gunner fucking head of a group is what it is, dude. Like, how is that not a conflict of interest to begin with? And then secondly, the fact that Mark Kelly tried to come in a straw purchase about 15 years ago or so, whenever the fuck his wife got her brains almost blown out, is what it is, dude. And it's like right then and there, that dude should have been disqualified from the fucking running based on that because you should have been a prohibited person back then, is what it is, dude. And it's a bunch of bullshit that he wasn't. And then, like I said, when you got all the fuckery going on there in Arizona and everything else like that too, as well, with Laxalt and yeah, just everything, dude. Fucking PA was fucking swiped and then some, dude. So yeah, it's a bunch of shit, man. But the entire point I'm trying to make is, though, when you have, you know, these Democrats that currently, you know, falsely are claiming that they're having like all these chambers of power and stuff like that, dude, when they only have like a couple weeks left before at least one of those chambers completely switches what it is, like, this is why they're going so hard on shit right now, dude. This is why they're activating as many agents as possible. Hell, I wouldn't be, because obviously this shit always happens in threes, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see 2 more attacks happen in the coming days, honestly, man. Where it's like, you know, or nothing else, like maybe the next like week or weekend or something like that, dude, where it's like, oh shit, another attack happens. Oh shit, another attack happens. Because again, like when you look at the shit going on right now, it's not that hard to figure out, man. Now, granted, that being said, I mean, technically, this might have already been the second attack, or even third attack for that matter, because I'm not sure. Because obviously, there was the one in UVA that I think could have been the first, and then there's been that weird set of murders at Idaho State, which I think that's kind of a misnomer, is what it is, because that one I think is more of an outside factor, is what it is, dude, and just like some kid going psycho is what it ends up being. Specifically because those were done with a knife and not a gun, as far as I'm aware. And I think that would be like sort of a, like you can kind of almost throw that out the window and be like it's its own thing kind of thing, is what it is right now, and have that just be on like a different track kind of deal or whatever then. But yeah, if that be the case, and like, UVA was number one, this potentially is number two then, as like high profile shit. And it's like, yeah, so now we have at least one more to go anyway, for sure. And God forbid it goes down like here in the next like week or so and stuff like that. Because again, you look at it, man, like what was the thing with Uvalde? You had them literally have a bunch of cops just stand by and let kids get fucking slaughtered so they could pass a bunch of gun control shit, dude. And it's the same thing here right now. And I think what's interesting actually is when you look into who actually saved the day in this case and who took this piece of shit down in the Club Q there, it was some straight white guy, as far as I'm aware, or at least like Latino, maybe. I'm not sure. Like it was hard to tell from the actual video of the guy. He would have been Latino actually, but either way, it was some fucking straight dude. Is what it was, dude. It was some straight dude who was there with his wife and his daughter because the daughter's friend was going to be part of that fucking drag show that Saturday night. Then, so yeah, if it wasn't for the fucking straight guy that was there, you'd probably have a lot more dead people. Is what it is, man. Because that dude sprung into fucking action and got shit done, is what it is, dude. He fucking went full alpha, is what it is, man. And that's the big thing right now, And like I said, if fucking the state of Colorado hadn't fucking been all retarded and shit like that, some like liberal ass leftist judge or fucking leftist DA, Soros bought and paid for people, whatever it is, dude. Letting this fucking kid off with upwards of like 7 or 8 fucking felony charges at that point, whether it be, terroristic threats, bomb threats, because I think that would obviously be another different charge as well on that one then, so that'd be another second one. Or, holding his mom hostage, which, and this is something I've talked to about with a couple different people and stuff like that, where they were like, oh, well, the mother wanted to drop the charges or whatever it was, and that's kind of where it led to this whole thing. And it's like, the entire point is, it shouldn't matter because the state itself should look at that and be like, and this is the thing people don't realize, dude. I don't know about Colorado specifically, but I know most other states for sure, specifically here in Ohio, they do. If you have somebody that has like a family member or whatever, they drop the charges, like the state can immediately come in and pick up the fucking shit and be like, no, we're charging you, and it's going to be the state versus you, is what it is, dude. And it's because that person would be a threat to society at that point. And I think, honestly, looking at Colorado and looking at the shit they have in place right now, dude, I wouldn't be surprised at least if they did have something like that, honestly, where it's like, no, you understand that this kid was a threat to society and you were not letting his ass back out, is what it is, bro. And that's the big thing right now. When you have that kind of shit going on, I believe that was a failure in their system, 100%, dude. A failure of the leftist judicial system right now, dude, because the state itself should have been charging this kid with like a slew of fucking felony charges, dude. Whether it be kidnapping, whether it be bomb stuff, whether it be bomb threats, whether it be, terroristic acts and stuff like that, whether it be all kinds of other shit for that matter, dude. Throw the red flag at him, throw everything else at him, dude. And see what fucking sticks is what it would be, man. And I guarantee at least half of the shit would already stuck at this point. Probably would have been more than that, even probably more like 90% of it would have actually stuck on the wall then for charges against this piece of shit. And that's my biggest problem right now, is that when you have people not doing their job and actually, fucking off or whatever it is, dude, and just letting shit go down and stuff, then you end up having, preventable tragedies like this, is what it is, dude. And what's even worse is going back to the whole, gun-free zone debate and stuff like that, dude, because that's what it was happening at. It was a place where you could not be armed in because it was a fucking bar / nightclub. And it's the same exact thing across this country, dude. Where you have, it's like these, I think for Texas, it's like 51% or something like that is what it's called, where if they make like more than 51% of their sales from like alcohol or something like that, you can't carry on premises. And it's a bunch of crap, dude. I know for a fact Ohio has like some weird law like that is what it is, dude, where you can't carry. I think you can carry it all in just any liquor establishment or whatever it is, dude. Even if it's just like a bar or like not even if it's just like a bar or tavern or whatever, dude. But if, like it's legitimately like let's go ahead and say like I don't even know. I'm trying to think places they have serve alcohol is what it is. Like maybe like a Red Robin or something like that, or a what's that one place? Dave and Buster's or something like that. Honestly, any of these places that have like liquor beverages on tap is what it is, dude. Whether it be beers or whatever the case be, I'm not so sure you can carry in those places even, and it's bullshit, dude, entirely. Because again, if somebody's gonna do a soft target, dude, it's gonna be one of these kind of fucking places, honestly, where they're gonna assume people are unarmed and stuff like that, and go do a body count is what it is, bro. And that's exactly what it is at the end of the day. It's our government wanting to literally democide enough Americans at this point to equate their bullshit and be like, no, but see, if we just pass one more gun law, if we just pass one more universal background check or red flag law or assault weapons ban, if we just take away these weapons of war, because that's the one thing they love to use now, dude. Instead of calling it assault weapons, now it's weapons of war. And what's even worse is now they're actually kind of throwing it together as one thing now. It's like, oh, these AR, because one thing I noticed with the ABC the other day when this whole thing happened, it was like, oh, this AR-15 style assault weapon and these weapons of war need to be taken off the streets and all this bullshit like that. And it's like, fuck you, man. First of all, there is no such thing as an assault weapon, number one. It was literally a term coined by Bill Clinton and the Democrat Party in the 1990s to ban the stuff in 94 is what it was. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, it was technically coined by Feinstein and Company back in the late 80s when they first did the AWB in California, which, by the way, is still to this day being fought in the courts and finally, hopefully, going to get overturned as unconstitutional in the very near future, as is the whole gun roster there that California has. It's been in place for like, about the same amount of time as what it is, dude, because both are unconstitutional as fuck is what it is. Same thing with ammo background checks, same thing with everything else for that matter, dude. But anyway, the entire point is that it was literally a term that they created to push a narrative, and the narrative was to ban all these scary black-looking rifles. Is what it was, dude. And what's funny to me as well is going back to, the whole thing with the kid himself there, that 22-year-old punk ass is what it was, dude, that committed this attack. The mainstream media and everybody else like that keeps saying, AR style rifle, AR platform, whatever you want to call it there. And it's like, so what was it then, dude? Was it an actual AR-15 or was it some like PCC thing or something like that, dude? Because I could easily see that being the case, honestly. And what I thought was very interesting was going back to AK's panel, there was a video that was from one of the local news stations or whatever around the Colorado Springs area there, whatever it was. And it was the dude who was one of the dudes who saved everybody is what it was there. Like talking about how he essentially like was fucking this kid up. And he's like, yeah, I took the pistol out of his hand and started beating him with it and stuff like that. So my thing is, it's like, okay, so do you have a actual, when you say pistol, do you mean like AR pistol or do you mean like handgun? Because to me, if you're saying pistol, it could I think it would definitely equate to handgun at that point. So it's like, what the fuck was he even using then? And actually, now that I think about it, you know what makes sense actually, because they said somebody had like two guns or whatever. Who's to say he had two guns, man? Who's to say he didn't have a Glock and a fucking chassis? And I just thought about that off the top of my head right now, honestly, dude. Like one of those micro Ronies or whatever they call them, dude. Like who's to say it wasn't something like that, where he had bought a handgun and bought a fucking chassis for it, and it was like that. What's that movie? Den of Thieves. At the very end of the movie, there is a shootout scene between everybody, and it's the character that 50 Cent plays in that movie. He legitimately has one of those chassis around a full auto Glock of some kind, because you could actually tell that like it has the ability to like, stuff like that. Because I was trying to figure out what kind of gun it was at first, and then I realized after the fact when I looked them up and stuff, it's like, oh yeah, it's an actual like Glock 18 fun switch or whatever the case be, or some kind of like, Glock with a switch on it somehow or something like that has the ability to be put into a chassis and fire full auto then. And yeah, that's what that guy was firing off, is what it was in that movie. And I'm like, is that what this kid had then, if that be the case, dude? Because that would make sense. And it would make a lot of sense considering that mainstream media refuses to even, show any photos of the firearm in question, is what it is, man. And of course they would be like, oh, it was an AR platform or whatever the case be, or AR style weapon or whatever the case be. And it's like, and who the fuck's to say it wasn't just a chassis around something else, dude? Or who the fuck's to say it wasn't, some other bullshit entirely, dude? And the thing is, like, you can sit there and say AR style, whatever, dude. It's like, there's a lot of different styles of an AR-15, honestly. Like, not all of them are centerfire rifles as well, dude. Some of them could be rimfire rifles, like a 15-22 or something like that, dude. It looks like an AR. It functions like an AR. But the big difference is that it does not have the actual components of a centerfire rifle. It has direct blowback as compared to a piston system or a gas block system or whatever the case be, and so forth and so on is what it is. And that's the big thing, dude. And of course, it doesn't have a functioning buffer tube and spring and stuff in it. It just, again, has just like that little bolt carrier group thing that essentially is just a direct blowback, is what it is. And I know that for a fact because I had one of those, is what it was, and that was the gun that was actually stolen from me a year and a half ago. But or not quite a year and a half ago, about 16 months ago or so now, give or take. But anyway, the entire thing is, though, is that when you have people who, don't get it and don't want to get it and want to sit there and basically try to be like, oh, but this kid was fucking an incel or some stupid bullshit like that. It's like, first of all, you don't know that. Number one. Number two, the whole incel thing is a bunch of bullshit entirely, dude. And again, it goes back to the whole Marxist system and throwaway photos and stuff like that, dude. When you look at where the whole, like, quote unquote, like, incel thing started becoming like, like a mainstream talking point now, it was very much after that one asshole that committed that atrocity in California like 7-8 years back now. That fucking the douchebag whose dad was a fucking Hollywood producer or whatever, dude, who went on that rampage, killed like 3 of his roommates with a knife or something like that, and then offed a couple other people is what it was then. And specifically said on a bunch of YouTube videos and was like, oh yeah, if they had caught, like, because he said something about them going and doing like a welfare check on him or whatever, and he's like, yeah, if the cops had just come into my room here in California and done their fucking job, like, they would have totally found the guns and stuff I used then. And that's the problem, dude. Again, I've talked about that many times, honestly, as well, over the years on this channel under different names and stuff like that. Like, that was a circle jerk of fail on that one, dude. It was a failure by the cops, failure by the system, failure by the kid's mom, failure by everybody. And the thing with that motherfucker specifically was that dude was a fucking psych patient, dude. He should have never been able to have guns to begin with. And of course, what have you had since then in California? You had Newsom pass all these red flag laws, universal background checks, and all kinds of other stupid shit and stuff like that, that in most cases wouldn't even do anything, man. Because I believe in that particular case, that dude not only lied on 4473 about being mentally institutionalized before that, his records have been sealed as a juvenile, and so there was no ability for him to actually not be able to get the passing of a background check then. And what's interesting is, when you look at almost every single one of these massacres or these mass attacks is what it is, dude. Whether it be the guy that shot Gabby Giffords in the face and, killed other people and stuff like that, or whether it be, I'm trying to think all the main ones right now. The guy that they claimed obviously did Parkland, the whole claiming of Sandy Hook and stuff like that. Now, granted, that was a whole different thing where the kid stole his supposedly mom's guns is what it was. I'm not really going to get into that in general because I've never believed the official narrative of Sandy Hook, and I never will, honestly. And I think we could easily have that one be disproven at this point, but I'm not going to get into it because I don't need to be sued like Alex Jones was. And that's all I'm going to say about that one, dude. But I will say this, honestly. Can't bleed a stone, and I have no problem countersuing the shit out of these fucking people, dude. to prove the point, is what it is, and prove the real truth at this point. But anyway, we'll leave it at that one, is what it is. But yeah, the entire point is, though, is that it's bullshit, dude. You have all these people being able to pass background checks, and then they're like, oh, but you need more background checks, or universal background checks. And it's like, dude, they went to an FFL in most cases. I mean, hell, the guy that did fucking Uvalde recently, that dude went to an FFL and was able to pass multiple background checks. And we're pretty sure that that was the same fucking guy who back in 2018, when he was like 13 or 14, was talking about committing a massacre in 2022 that was going to be reminiscent of Columbine and stuff like that, dude. And that's why he got busted then and was like basically talked to by the feds and shit like that. And again, it's like, you know, how much of that could have been a thing where it was like, okay, they had 4 years to basically be handlers of this motherfucker now, then, or whatever, dude. And it's like the same thing with this kid in fucking Colorado Springs there, man. I would not be the least bit surprised if they were going to try to pull that shit, honestly, dude. And I think what's funny is, going back to AK's panel last night, which was, you had one of the guys on there saying something about how they're like, oh yeah, the whole hate crime thing, they're just trying to let it grow organically or whatever the case be. And it's like, no, they're not, dude. It's fucking 100% manufactured bullshit at this point, dude. The first fucking thing that mainstream media went on the last day and a half now, or couple days now, whatever it is now, 2-3 days now since it's happened. Their first thing basically was, oh, it's a hate crime. Oh, it's a hate crime because it's gay people. It's like, okay, so let's go ahead and say it was a gay dude walking into a regular nightclub, straight nightclub, whatever you want to call it. I'm not so sure there actually is such a thing, but, it'd just be like a regular nightclub at that point, dude, where it's anybody and everybody could be in there. And starts opening fire. Are they going to call that a hate crime because it was committed by a gay guy against straight people? No, they're not. They never will, dude, because it's not. And that's the whole point entirely, dude. It's the same exact bullshit here. Just because a dude goes on a fucking rampage does not mean it should be a fucking hate crime. I mean, the fact that the guy the fact he's being charged with 5 or 6 murders now anyway, dude. Like, pretty sure hate crime charges have something to do with it. Again, unless, going back to government thing, like I said earlier, dude, with them trying to pass crap right now, unless it's people like Cunt and Mala who are trying to fucking pass some more bullshit, like they did with the whole fucking Smollett thing, dude. When they had fucking Jesse Smollett's little fucking fake little hoax there is what it was, dude. The whole this is mega country thing, which is ironic because it's like, where I live, this is mega country, baby. Like, there were Trump signs everywhere in the past couple of years, man. There's Trump flags everywhere around here too, by the way. Out in these rural areas where I'm at. But anywho, the entire point is, though, is that what did they try to do then? You had her and Cory Booker try to push some like anti-lynching law and shit through. And I guarantee it's going to be the same crap now, dude. It's going to be like, see, and this, because I think actually, if I'm not mistaken, the U.S. Senate's already passed the whole like Marriage Equality Act. They're just waiting for the House to do the same as what it is, dude. And it's like, and see, this is why we need the Marriage Equality Act, and this is why we need to basically have discrimination against straight people now, and people that don't, espouse to wanting to bake gay people's wedding cakes and shit like that is what it is, dude. Because that's exactly what it is at the end of the day. It persecutes those fucking people, dude. There is no fucking safeguard in that piece of shit legislation. Rob Portman's a fucking scumbag sack of shit, dude. He has been for decades. Fuck him. I hate that fucking guy. I'm so glad he's retiring, dude. He's a fucking one of the worst U.S. senators out of the state of Ohio in decades, honestly, dude. With Sherrod Brown being the worst, honestly, and the biggest fucking cheater who would have already been ousted from power at this point if our damn government here at the state level did their fucking job and actually audited the 2018 midterms for that son of a bitch and proved that he had his judge buddy put about 300,000 dead people back on our voter rolls a couple days before the election and then conveniently won by like 270 something thousand votes is what it was, dude. It's like, yeah, it doesn't take a genius to figure out, bro. Motherfucker cheated. Just like everybody else, man. So, anyway. But yeah, the entire point is, though, is that do I think that this kid in Colorado was a fucking incel? Fuck no, dude. Do I think it's a very good possibility he was actually sort of MK Ultra, I guess is the best way to describe it would be, or at least, put in place to be the next false flag for the government to push for anti-gun stuff? Fuck yes. Fuck yes, I do. Because honestly, why else would it happen right now, dude? Why else would it happen right now before Thanksgiving, before Christmas, right before the Democrats are going to lose power in one of the main chambers, is what it is, dude. It's because they want to make it happen, dude. Because they're trying their damnedest to steal our fucking guns away, dude. They know they can't. They know they physically can't do it. And they're trying to do everything in their power to do it right now, dude. Whether it be, having the ATF create bullshit things that they can't create to begin with for pistol brace stuff and, frame and receiver shit and shit like that, man. Or whether it be, Biden's bullshit through fucking all kinds of BS and them, jerking each other off over the whole fucking red flag federal bullshit. I forget exactly what that's called offhand. It was like the Children's Safety Act or some bullshit like that, which is absolute bullshit lies, dude, entirely. It's like, no, this is going to make kids less safe because of these reasons and these reasons and these reasons. And this is exactly why y'all need to be hauled off to jail in handcuffs right now, dude. And await your day to where you're charged federally with high treason is what it is right now. And I'm just going to say it like it is, dude. Honestly, I would say about probably 80+% of our government right now, dude, should be tried with high treason against American people at this point in history, dude. And the fact that you don't have the feds out there doing their job or the, cops or sheriffs or whatever it is, dude, doing their fucking jobs and arresting these people for the crimes they've committed right now is exactly what's wrong with America currently, dude. And it's exactly where we're heading towards balkanization in this nation. And I believe truthfully, before 2023 is over and done with, I think we're going to balkanize as a country. I think in the next 12 months or so, you're going to see the balkanization of this country, honestly, dude. And I don't think we're going to make it to another actual presidential race before it happens right now, dude. I think you're going to end up seeing two Americas before the 2024 election. And I think there's a very good possibility that you potentially have what we've seen in this country for the past couple of years basically kick off into full gear on one side of just authoritarianism. And then you see this other side that's just pure patriotism and constitutionalism and everything else like that, man. And we finally just have enough. And we just take our shit and we're like, nope, fuck this. We are, splitting off from this bullshit. Unconstitutional fucking fake government is what I'm going to call it right now, dude, because that's what it really is at the end of the day. It's like all these douchebags that hold no power whatsoever. Fuck you, you illegitimate bunch of assholes. I'm out kind of thing is what it'll be. And I think you're going to see a lot of people start doing that stuff, honestly. And I believe truthfully that's why they're pissed scared right now. It's why they're trying to create all these attacks right now, because they understand once they lose this narrative, once they lose, their grip on the American people, they have nothing. They have nothing at all, dude. When the American people finally wake up and realize, hey, we have been fucked over for decades. We have been fucked over by this tyrannical government, this bunch of overreaching assholes trying to take away our rights and stuff like that, and trying to take away our ability to protect ourselves from their fucking tyranny. It's like, no, fuck you, government. And I think unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people that never wake up to that because they're still so asleep, is what it is. And there's other people that are starting to wake up to it, but don't want to actually take the final, nudge, is what it is, to having a full, clear mind, being open to everything, and being, big picture, like this is what's really going on kind of thing right now. Because if they did, they could never go back to sleep again. I think that's what the problem is right now with a lot of people, dude. Even the folks I was talking about with this dude's panel and stuff like that, man. Like, it's people that, will still sit there and watch, mainstream media and stuff like that. And, be like, oh, did y'all see this? Did y'all see this? It's like, no, because I don't watch fucking mainstream media bullshit is what it is, dude. And that's the problem right now, is that people are still so snowed that they don't want to wake up to what's actually going on around them is what it is, dude. Because if they did, it would mean they would actually have a different perspective of life in most cases. And I believe, truthfully, if you look at a lot of these, classical liberals or leftists or whatever nowadays, it very much is a case where, they've doubled down so much on shit that it's like they can't get that they're actually wrong once. And I'm not saying it's even just once. I think it's a bunch of times they've been wrong about stuff in the past several years now, dude. But the biggest thing is, it's like going back to the 2020 lockdowns and shit like that. It's like they don't want to admit that, like, oh yeah, this is all bullshit and it was all just tyrannical government and stuff like that, dude. Because if they did, it would basically break them from reality, and it would make them have to reevaluate every single thing in their lives right now, to where it's like, okay, well, if this was not the truth or whatever the case be, and this government did try to fuck me over, whatever, like, what else did they try to do? Like, where am I at with this thing and this thing and this thing? And then it's like, sooner rather than later, they're going to be on this pathway of they finally accept everything, but then they have nobody to talk to about it, because like 99% of their fucking friend base was the same people that were in that whole clique with them, is what it is, dude. And they're still sitting there, trying to actually bring back to the forefront their ability to be able to have reasonable thinking and rational, you know, thought processes and stuff like that, is what it is, dude. And I think, honestly, when you realize that you're wrong about something and you refuse to actually, you know, admit that you're wrong, that's a big thing in this country's history right now, dude. Is just the stubbornness of everything, is what it is, dude. And unfortunately, there's some people who are, they will double down and stuff like that. And then eventually it'll be a situation where they'll die for various reasons or whatever the case be, man. And unfortunately, in many cases, there'll be a bunch of them who will never admit they're wrong all the way to their deathbed. And it's sad. It really does sadden me, man. Because I think there are still good people out there who potentially could be saved. And unfortunately, that, window is closing quicker and quicker every day right now, man. Where it's like, if they don't want to even save themselves from the insanity, like, what the fuck are we supposed to do, is what it is, man. And I think, unfortunately, there is a lot of shady shit going on right now, dude, with a lot of stuff. And I believe, honestly, the longer we go, the more craziness we're going to start seeing, is what it is, man. The more, insane engineered chaos is what it is. That's going to keep going and going and going until eventually, God forbid, you have the fucking government announce, oh, it's now the annual purge. For 12 continuous hours, all emergency services will be suspended. People will be left on their own. All crime, including murder, is now legal. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of crazy shit going on, man. For real. And I think, unfortunately, the longer it goes on and the longer we don't put a stop to it as the American people right now, the worse it's going to get when it's all said and done. And that's why I have talked about Great Depression and stuff like that on this channel a time or two already, dude, because I think that's exactly where we're heading right now. And I think there's going to be a lot of fucking people who haven't taken the time to do any kind of stockpiling or to, put back, a few extra cans of something in their cupboards and shit for when things go south. And it's going to be those people that are going to be the hungry mobs coming towards your doors, what it is, or coming and getting whatever they can off whatever they can. And unfortunately, it's going to lead to a lot of deadly force encounters, I believe, because you're going to have essentially a group of people who, depending on how long they're, mobbing for food and shit like that, dude, it could basically be like a Walking Dead herd for that matter, man. And then you just have a whole bunch of, citizenry on the other side, is what it is, who refuse to put up with that crap and would basically just be in their own situation of, this is why I'm armed and this is why I'll stay armed kind of thing, is what it is. Now, granted, there's obviously levels of, the mob, if you will. And I think, unfortunately, there's some people who will try to fight a mob depending on the size of it. There's other people who will never fuck with a mob because of the size of it. And there's people in the middle that are like, okay, cool. How many people is it or whatever? How many people do we have on our side kind of thing? Okay, we can take them. And yeah, it's going to get worse and worse before it gets better then. And I really do fear for any kind of grid down scenario right now because, God forbid that happens and we have some kind of a Great Depression, engineered chaos kind of event here in the next, 6 months to a year or so. How many Americans actually know how to do anything, man, when it comes to any kind of skill set for grid down or whatever the case be? I guarantee you there would be a lot of people who would be in a shit sandwich at that point and would end up, basically fleeing to wherever they thought was safe kind of a thing, where in reality, I don't think any place is going to be safe. I think you're going to see many, many places go into full-blown anarchy from all that. And I think you're going to see a few handful of places restore law and order very quickly. And it all is going to go based on a sheriff or a bunch of deputies or whatever the case be that are just like, no, fuck this. Like, here's a box, the all or nothing box. Toss the fucking box open and bang, everybody gets a fucking shield. Grab a badge and a gun, if you will. Straight out of the movie Planet Terror there. Actually, that was one of the best scenes from that movie now I'm thinking back on it. I heard somebody mentioned that last night, actually, in one of the chats I was watching, was the whole Planet Terror thing. But, yeah, one of the best scenes out of that is when the guy, like, pulls out the all or nothing box, and it's just, like, a whole bunch of fucking sheriff's deputies' badges. And he's like, everybody take one of those and grab a gun. And, yeah, pretty much everybody just starts grabbing firearms and stuff like that and the badges. And I think that's exactly what would need to happen right now in this country, man. Where you just have some sheriffs with some fucking balls is what it is, who are willing to just swear in, like, various amounts of people at once and have it be in such a way to where people can actually be effective at potentially dealing with tyranny in the future is what it is. And unfortunately, when you have people that refuse to actually go down the hole and see, like, even what's just at the surface of it, then you realize, like, oh shit, this is what needs to be done to basically make ourselves a constitutional republic that our founding fathers always envisioned. And it really wouldn't take that much, honestly, dude. I really don't think it would. I think you could easily have it be a few families here and there that then, continue on and continue on. And then it basically just gets bigger. It's a bigger and bigger movement. It's a bigger and bigger ability to, do what needs to be done to survive is what it is. And I believe, unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of people out there that, they might not be like pure evil or whatever it is, but they would definitely have a hard-ass time fighting against a fucking robot, man. Like, that would be a scary thought, honestly, to see that shit, man. Just see, like, a 50 or 60-foot fucking, whatever the hell was the robot version of Wonder Woman. I can't think of what the person's name was offhand, but yeah. I don't know. I'm probably confusing shit at this point. My mind is, like, really out of it. I'm getting really fucking tired, honestly, suddenly, and it makes sense because it is about 5 a.m. here. So, yeah, I didn't expect us to go more than an hour anyway. I think that's probably where we'll leave it at this point. But needless to say, going back full circle and stuff like that, just to, go over what we talked about here. I think a lot of the guys that were in AK's panel last night were dead wrong when it came to several different things. Specifically about the whole, that kid supposed to be in, like, an incel or whatever the case be. And, like, obviously they said the grandpa was, like, right wing or whatever. That's the one thing they're trying to, like, equate to as well, as like, oh, it's a bunch of right wing crap or whatever the case be, even though the kid has apparently no political affiliation, no fucking social media presence whatsoever, which is pretty crazy to me because it's like, even if the shit was yanked by the feds after the fact, dude, you cannot tell me that there wasn't, 3 or 4 fucking social media platforms out there that had this kid on them, is what it is, dude. And that's the problem right now. They just don't want to find the actual, video game pieces or whatever it is. Yeah, my mind just went out completely blank on that one. Sorry. Like I said, I'm really fucking tired. God, now I'm trying to think what I'm saying now. I'm like struggling to stop from passing out right now. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. So, yeah, my mind is definitely not all here right now. But I don't even know where I'm trying to go with this. If we're gonna be serious, dude. Oh yeah. It was quitting the kid as an incel or whatever. Yeah. No, I believe this kid was 100%. Some kind of a fucking. That's what it was. Like, they're trying to say his grandpa being all right wing, whatever the case be. Some of the kids are right wing and stuff like that. I highly doubt that, dude. I think if anything, he was either non-politically affiliated or whatever the case be, which should be proven in his social media accounts. But of course, they most likely scrubbed all this. Is what it was. That's what I was trying to talk about a minute ago. Was the feds basically scrubbing all those and stuff like that from the internet? Is what it would be then. And yeah, it's the mainstream media trying to keep like just hush enough on this thing of like, oh yeah, but this happened and this is why we need to do X, Y, and Z kind of thing is what it is. Because if they actually did scratch the surface more and figure out what this kid's deal really was and stuff like that, it would turn out that he was basically like a hardcore leftist ideologue is what it is, man. And unfortunately, like I said, when you have the whole leftist bunch of BS there, dude, you have them getting this motherfucker off and stuff like that. And then what's even worse is you got pieces of shit like Scott Wiener, the fucking asscock there in California, who literally made age of consent a whole thing by introducing a piece of legislation that's now since passed, where as long as you're gay, you can be a 24-year-old and be in a relationship with a fucking 14-year-old dude. It's like some fucked up like 10-year age gap thing or whatever in that state. And it's like, fuck that shit, dude. Fuck that shit, you fucking pedophile fucks is what it is, dude, for real. And I think, unfortunately, going back to that Wiener guy, when he was also the asswipe that did the fucking AIDS blood thing there, where I think it was actually 2 different bills he helped pass. One of them was basically allowing people with HIV/AIDS to be able to donate blood in the state of California. The other one was basically being able to knowingly give people AIDS in the state of California without actually telling them and having it basically be a nothing charge at that point, even though it was a high-level felony before that. So, yeah, this Scott guy is just a complete fucking piece of garbage entirely, dude. And I really, really, really fucking hope that California does something about that asshole dude and figures out a way to toss him from the General Assembly is what it is, man, because there is zero reason for that Scott guy to even be in any position of power right now, dude. Especially when you're hanging out and all this fucking bullshit and being like, oh, but I totally came in from over here or whatever the case be, but people need to go ahead and listen to my bullshit now is what it is, bro. And it's like, no, we don't, jackass. I need to tell you to go fuck yourself and go back to where you came from. And I think that's the unfortunate situation right now is that you have people that are refusing to do that is what it is, man. But, yeah. And my big thing is, and I've said that many, many times, dude, I have zero problem with people who want to be gay or lesbian or whatever the case be, dude. Doesn't matter. Stop fucking with children, dude. Seriously. Stop trying to indoctrinate kids into your fucking leftist bullshit, into your fucking created fucking families is what it is at the end of the day, dude, because you're literally trying to create a next generation of people because y'all are stale yourselves at this point. And it's like, bro, enough is enough. Leave the kids alone. And if you don't, you're probably going to get punched in the fucking face pretty soon is what it is, dude. And I believe that's what's going to be coming of it really quickly, dude. And it's like the one guy on one video on AK's channel last night was saying, where it was like this crazy like demon and drag is what it was, dude. This person legit looked like a demon, honestly, dude. It reminded me of that part of that movie, Don't Be a Mess of South Central, Drink Your Juice in the Hood, when the guy's with the chick in the back of the mail truck, and she's like, oh, I get a little freaky or whatever the case be, and the guy's like, oh, you get as freaky as you want, girl, and then she basically turns into like this fucked up like demon looking thing. It reminded me of that fucking thing, dude. Like the crazy like fucking like tongue and like demon fucking teeth and shit like that's what it is. It totally reminded me of that shit, honestly, dude. Of how this fucking crazy ass person looked is what it was. And yeah, it's just sad, dude. It's just sad that these fucking people are out there espousing all their bullshit and trying to basically push for this. Oh, but we're not really here to fucking indoctrinate your kids kind of crap or groom your kids kind of crap or whatever it is. Where in reality, that's exactly what they're fucking doing, man. That's exactly what they're trying to push right now. And they wonder why they're getting pushback over it, dude. And it's like, hey, how about you stop fucking with the kids? And there's not going to be an issue, dude. How about that? Okay. And until that happens, like, yeah, there's going to be a fucking issue every single day, man. And it's really as simple as that, man. Like, stop screwing with kids. If you want to do adult things with other adults, dude, by all means, go where the fuck ever and carry on, bro. Or carry on, chick. If you want to be some fucking, bull dyke type and stuff like that goes and eats pussy all day and stuff like that, dude, and wants to act like a dude and be all butch and shit, whatever, bro. Or if you want to sit there and claim transgenderism and stuff like that over the age of 18 and, do whatever you want as a legal adult and shit, dude, that's perfectly fine. But don't be pulling that shit as a fucking, or have parents basically pulling that shit when the kid's like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, whatever, dude. It's like, no, they don't know what the fuck they are at that point, dude. In a lot of cases, it's their hormones breaking through and pushing for shit. And yeah, it's just a bunch of crap entirely, man. But anyway, that's pretty much where we're at for the day. Hopefully, this last 10 to 15 minutes or so came in pretty cognitive, is what it is. I know somewhere I started to trail off on something. I don't know what I was mentioning with video games there. I have no idea what the fuck I was even talking about, dude. Again, tired eyes and mind would be my guess. But yeah, I think and like I said with that, I think the whole problem is that people are trying to equate that kid with his grandfather is what it is, and granddad basically being sort of right wing or whatever. That doesn't mean that the kid's not going to be hardcore leftist, dude, especially in a single mother household, which is what this seems like it was. So, when you have no dad in the home and you have no, positive male role models in the kid's life and shit like that, dude, of course, is going to end up all fucked up then. And that's the problem, dude. And that's exactly what the left loves, honestly, is these people who are too dumb to think for themselves and these people who are, will just believe the bullshit coming out of their fucking mouth kind of thing is what it is. Because, again, it goes back to a situation of people are pieces of shit, and the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is having a good guy or good gal with a fucking gun inside the establishment ready to take that motherfucker out if he comes in. And it's really as simple as that, man. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see y'all in the next one.